I want to thank everyone for being patient and joining us today for our Using Splunk for Operational Efficiency Bootcamp. We're excited to give you guys one of our newer boot camps that we do here at GTRI, kind of give you a little bit of a, what do I call it, like a hands-on experience with the life of a NOC user, someone who would use Splunk in their network operations center. My name is Taylor Williams. I am a sales engineer here at GTRI. I'm also a Splunk certified sales engineer. I've been here for about 3 years, and I have a pretty good background in both route switch as well as data center technologies. As your host today, I'm going to be answering all your questions so that our presenter, Kathy, can focus on her presentation. So if you actually do have questions during the presentation, please do put them in the Q&A section in WebEx, and I will answer them as quickly as I can. And if any of them, you know, kind of stump either of us, we'll go ahead and start chatting about them live during the labs. But for the meantime, if you have questions, like I said, put them in the WebEx chat box, and I will be happy to answer them. Now, like I said, Kathy today is going to be your presenter. She is also a sales engineer here. She has been here for about 2 years. She's actually out of Dallas, whereas I'm in Denver. But like me, she's also a sales engineer with Splunk, and she's actually got a very extensive background in data center technologies and has worked with both, or actually not just here, but NetApp, LSI, and SGI as well. With that, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn it over to her so she can go ahead and give you the presentation today.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Can you hear me okay, Taylor?
Sure can.
Okay, good. Well, again, as Taylor said, I'm Kathy Sutherland, and sometimes we start a little bit late just so people can log in, but this time we started late, just network error. Gotta love a home provider internet. So anyway, thank you for being patient and staying online with us, because I think this is a great boot camp, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. As Taylor said, this is Using Splunk for Operational Efficiency, a day in the life of a NOC user. Today, we do not expect you to have extensive Splunk background. That's what we're trying to do today, is introduce you to Splunk. We do have another boot camp that we do that is a security boot camp, and that one we do expect you to have at least the fundamentals of Splunk under your belt. But for this one today, this is what we're trying to do, is kind of introduce you to Splunk, show you Splunk, let you play with Splunk. So how it's going to work today, I'm going to do a little talking, and then I'm going to do a little demo, and then I'm going to turn you loose on labs, and then we'll kind of start that pattern over, talk, demo, lab, talk, demo, lab. So hopefully that whatever type of learner you are, you're going to get it from one of those three options. So let's do a little bit of, go to the next slide, a little bit of housekeeping. We do have the course materials available for you, so you can go back and look at them. If you can see here, you'll want to go up to File and then Transfer, and I have 4 files up there for you. I have the actual presentation that you're looking at. I have the labs, so you'll want to download that at least so that you have the lab file to look at for when you're doing the labs. Then I have the login information for how you're going to get to our Splunk Bootcamp server that we have set up for you to play with. And then the last thing I have on there is the Splunk Quick Reference Guide. This last time I gave the boot camp, I mentioned it because I have several hard copies here with me, and I mentioned that it's a great reference to have. And somebody said, well, hey, can you mail me one? Well, okay. Well, I quickly realized that would probably get to be a kind of a logistical nightmare if I was constantly mailing people stuff out. So Splunk was gracious enough to point me to where it is on their website, and I have downloaded it, and I have now uploaded it for you to have. And I'll talk a little bit about it when we're going through, but it is just a great pocket guide to have. If you printed it out, it would be double-sided, 3 pages, and then Splunk makes it into a trifold. So at least you've got it, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in a little while. Okay, so that is the housekeeping. So a couple of quick facts about GTRI. As Taylor mentioned, I have been here going on 2 years. I come from the storage world. I was in data storage and big data when I was at NetApp, and then the big data kind of piece back in the day at SGI, and then LSI I was at for many years. And a lot of you probably don't know LSI, but we were the producer of a lot of storage that people like IBM and different companies OEM'd our storage, and now and NetApp bought our division. So I'm now here at GTRI and having a blast, I'll tell you that. Some quick facts about GTRI. I'm in the federal space, and so, of course, I'm interested in the unique federal qualifications. I know that a lot of you actually are in the commercial space. GTRI probably, I think it does a little bit more commercial business than they do federal business, but we are we have a lot of cleared folks for the federal space. So if you need somebody who has tickets, we've done the 8A program. We've done the Mentor Protege program with Raytheon. We have a lot of consultants on staff that have over 10 years of hands-on experience. And then we have our tagline is relentless commitment, and that is what you'll see from us if we're on a project with you. And then we are ISO certified. So just a little bit about us. The GTRI Splunk-Practice that we have here at GTRI, we are Splunk's #1 elite, first elite partner, and one of only 2 Splunk certified training centers in the U.S. So we have made a big investment in our practice for Splunk. GTRI, the only other practice that we probably have as much invested in is our Cisco practice, and GTRI stands behind both those practices wholeheartedly, and that's why we've invested in the training that we have and having the right folks on staff to help you if you use us for any kind of implementation or support or even training classes. We do provide the end-to-end Splunk, from, as it says there, from pre-sales all the way to the implementation and optimization. We are the most credentialed partner in North America with over 60 Splunk certifications. This slide, the GTRI overview and capabilities, what we're wanting you to take away from this slide is we're a Splunk Elite partner. You get that. But we want you to understand that we know data centers, and so we can help you implement and deploy Splunk efficiently and meaningfully so you get the most out of your Splunk investment. We have all these touch points that you see on the screen, being a gold partner with Cisco, gold partner with NetApp. You know, this is your data center. This is what you're trying to Splunk in the end. This is what you need to understand and be able to do statistical modeling on and solve problems for. And we can help you in this entire cycle, and we do that through our partnership with Splunk, and you'll see that here as we go through. So our agenda today. I'm going to, hopefully by the end of it, you're going to have a fundamental understanding of the components of Splunk and how they scale. We're going to give you hands-on Splunk tasks, and then we're going to do labs. And as it says there, the labs have practical instruction, not directly covered by the lecture. So be watching for that. I know, I've done several of these boot camps, and I know a lot of people just like to hear the information. Maybe you've got something else going in the background, or maybe it's not necessarily your job. You're never going to actually touch the Splunk server. You're just trying to get some information. But some of you I know will log in and do the labs and be a part of it. And so if that's what you're doing, just know that you're going to learn a little bit more than what I'm talking about today. And I think the labs are very well written. Scott Anderson wrote them. He is a Splunk architect here at GTRI, and he actually does a lot of certified Splunk training, both for Splunk, contracted from Splunk and directly from GTRI. So our topics today: Splunk overview, Splunk architecture, data collection, Splunk for discovery, how we're going to use it, automating it, and then some Splunk apps we'll talk about. So Splunk overview, what is Splunk? Splunk is a big data platform designed to make machine data accessible and meaningful. That's their tagline. We like it. Splunk is software. It's not an appliance. You are not required to buy a lot of hardware and locked into anything. Splunk, you're going to see, is just software only. And so and they have, obviously they have an installation guide of what they recommend, but you can put it on, off-the-shelf hardware, and it's going to run great for you. You can see just on this slide, it does ad hoc searches, data collection, and dashboards. We're gonna look at all of that. So I think, let's hope. What I want to do here is I'm going to actually share Splunk with you, so you can see. Make sure. So you should see my desktop, which is IE with, you can see up top where I'm on our bootcamp training server. And here is Splunk in all its beautiful glory. You can, I'm just going to show you just a little bit of it, and then we're going to do a little bit more, but more talking. But so here's the home page for Splunk. There's the search line. This is if you think about in Google, if you were going to go and search for, well, let's see, my daughter this morning wanted to see toddlers not sharing toys. Yes, this is what we do in the mornings on the way to school, is I let her play with Siri. So, here we might want to see servers who are not behaving, and we would write the query that where it says enter search here. This bottom portion shows the apps. The search and reporting app is the main app in Splunk, and that your enterprise instance comes with. And you can see already we have a data summary, and if you see that these are events that are being indexed even as I'm speaking right now. If I click on this data summary tab, you can see, now let me tell you, this is a Splunk instance that we have running, and we have scripts that generate all of this information. So it's not a true network, but it's a data gen. But it looks like it. So you can see in our environment we have 22 hosts. And we scroll down and see the different hosts. These 22 hosts, of those 22 hosts, here are the sources of data that we are reading in. And you'll notice the sources is 30, but over here, source type is 23. So let's think about that for a minute. The sources are the types of files, the sources are the actual files that are being read in. You can see this access combined log, right, the count is up in the 207, last time it was updated. So we might have a forwarder that is forwarding that information to us, and then source types, we can see we have that access combined again, but one of these types, I won't go through them all, but is just duplicated, and so that's why source versus source type, the type of sources that we're getting, that's the difference. Any of this is hot links, so if I'm back on host, and if I were to click on, let's see, if I were to click on this, it would take me straight there, and we would see the events that are being indexed into the Splunk server as we're looking at it. Let's go back over here. Here in a little while, we'll look a little bit at the Cisco Security Suite. And I'm also going to go over all the parts of as we go through more of the demo, we'll go through each part of what we see here, but I want to get back over, I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute and go back over to the presentation. So you saw Splunk a little bit and what it looks like. So how is Splunk used? These are some use cases. Traditional applications, security, SOCs and NOCs. You're wanting to get information in order to detect security breaches or the health of your NOC, whatever that may be. Some custom use cases, the SCADA data, that is tanker trucks who are out filling up fuel, say at a big refill station, for gasoline, and let's say each truck pulls up and they fill it up with the fuel, and then they know that it's going to Texaco, so they put certain additives in there that are going to go to Texaco. Now that's quote-unquote Texaco gas. or they, you know, put whatever the Tectron, and so now it becomes Chevron gas. So there's machine data that truck and the equipment that's adding the additives to the gasoline, there's machine data being spit out by all those various pieces and parts, and we can collect that data, and Splunk can Splunk it, and maybe you might catch, hey, you know, this truck just got the wrong additive or too much or whatever. So, you know, anything machine data is readable by Splunk. Election data, energy consumption, I mean, it's endless, you know, the data that you can collect in Splunk. The architecture. So the main Splunk server, these are the functions. Searching and reporting, the search head, as you can see on the top. Let me get my arrow. There we go. So the search head, that's the functionality. That's where you search and do reporting. You saw, you know, where we would enter in our search, whatever we're looking for. Say we're looking for all events that have the word failed in it. So we would do that at that point. The indexer is where the indexing and the search services reside. This is where the data comes in and is indexed into the flat file that Splunk is on the back end. And then the forwarder. So this is the data collection and forwarding from all your different hosts, and where it sends those different sources to the Splunk indexer. So Splunk, a single instance of Splunk, can be one or all of those roles. So you can see how they show here, the single Splunk server does the searching, the indexing, and the data and the forwarding. Or, then Splunk likes to talk about how scalable it is. Like I have an instance of Splunk that runs on my laptop. My laptop functions as all three of these server functions. In a large data center, you know, you're going to be able to scale up to however much functionality you need. So if we look here, we can see that this single server can be scaled to where, if you look at the bottom, you see these are our forwarders. So that's where the data is from, so as it says, from thousands of servers using any combination of Splunk forwarders, sends the data up to the indexers. So you see here, this shows 3 indexers. Those are auto load balanced, and you can index on a 24-hour period is how Splunk, and I think it talks a little bit more about that in a later slide, but Splunk is based on a 24-hour data indexing model. So let's say you're going to index, you know, a terabyte every day or 50 terabytes every day. You know, that's scalable. And you go up here, and here is your search head. This is where your users will interface with Splunk. Possibly even maybe your CEO, who you created a beautiful dashboard after you've done the back-end work, and you've created a beautiful dashboard for your CEO, you know, to see the health of the network, or maybe the head of the NOC. They may interact at this level. So the operating systems that Splunk supports, it runs on, as it says, most Windows and Unix variants, 32 and 64-bit. I think, does anybody even have 32-bit machines around? I don't know. I wouldn't think there's many out there, but maybe there is. You can just see from this pretty graphic, I mean, Splunk is going to be able to probably ingest and run on whatever you have. And this, let's look down here, and I might still, oh no, I guess I lost it during my reboot. We put this link here, this HTTP link to docs.splunk system requirements. You can, since you all have this presentation, if you've downloaded it, you have this link, and you can go in there and see the system requirements for a Splunk installation. And it's a great document. That's one thing Splunk really does well, is documentation. Anything that Splunk has, it is going to be up on the website. And it's all organized very well and very easy to find things. And so look throughout the presentation as I go through it, and you'll see different links to whatever maybe the topic is that we're looking at. Okay, so now let's get to where you're doing something. So this is our first lab. This is a hands-on lab where you are going to log in to the GTRI training server. So you can see the link here, http://bootcamp.gtri-training.com. So you should all have this file downloaded. Look for your name, and let's say Tim Wallace. What we did is we took your email and just chopped off the at wherever company you are, and so you should. Well, I guess we did the actual names this time. Taylor, you did a better job than I do. I see that you've actually got everybody's real name here. So, so Tim Wallace, he would be student 4, and that would be the password for him to log on. So this first lab, you're just going to log on. I think you're going to change your password. Feel free to look around for a minute, and we are just going to take only like 5 minutes to get this done. So it's 31 minutes after the hour. So let's just take 4 minutes because it won't, well, no, but take 3 or 4 minutes. So and we'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes. The line will be silent, and I'll let you work. Thanks.
Folks, if you don't see your name on that list, go ahead and send me a message, and I will go ahead and just get you your username and your password just sent over to you in the WebEx chat box, and that should be just fine. I don't know if any of you saw that I actually put a message out. There was a couple people having some issues seeing the WebEx. I haven't seen any messages from anybody else, but if you could let me know if there are WebEx issues, please let me know, and we will troubleshoot and see what the issue is. Thank you.
So I put the login profile here up on the screen, but also it should be, let me look, it should be in the file transfer. So go to File, Transfer, and the file name is 9/24/14 Bootcamp Logins List. It is a Word document. So if you want to download that and get your login, you can, or I've got it right here. You should see it in the WebEx. Okay, most of you probably should be done with that one. That one's pretty quick and easy. I did want to share my instance of Splunk one more time. So when you got in there, it probably pretty much looked like this. I'm going to go over here to search and reporting, and I'm just going to search for star. I'm going to search for everything. And if you look over here on my time picker, Splunk has some preset time allocations that they figure you're probably going to be pretty interested in. These are the most widely used. You could certainly create your own, but most likely something here is what you want to use. So I think, normally we don't like all time, so let's go ahead and click it. I'll stress out the server a little. So as you see this, you can see the events down here at the bottom. And I'm going to actually switch this from all time. I'm going to do a real time. I'm going to do a 1-minute window real time. So let's see what is coming into our Splunk server real time. And I'll give this a minute to populate. So if you look, if we mouse over this, we can see this is the time says 11:36. Over here, it should say 11:37. So you can see that from the left most event to the right, that's that 1-minute window that we asked for it to give us. This is actually probably not super helpful, right? If you look down here, this is everything that's coming into our Splunk server, everything that's being indexed. And it's all mixed together, and it's going by a little too quickly. So what we're going to be seeing here in a little while, you'll be doing it in lab, is how, and I'll do a demo of it, is how we make more sense of this data and just through some simple searches. I think I already, let me go over here. I already showed you the data summary and see all those events, so I guess that's what was coming through. I wanted to also show you the Cisco Security Suite. Let's go into that for a minute. So now this is the same data that you saw that's coming into our system, but this is where that data has had some kind of search run on it, and then the results of that search have been visualized. Now we're talking. This is showing us something interesting. And I'm going to go here to edit. I'm going to because I just kind of want to see what this exactly is showing me. I'm going to edit some panels. I'm going to go over here to this panel. I'm going to click on this, and down here I'm going to say open in search. I want to see what that panel is doing. So if you look up here, this is the search that has been written for that panel. And then you can see that that panel is running the last, taking data from the last 60 minutes. So let's go back. Let's see. Let's go, I'm going to close that. Let me go back. Let me go over here. Let's see, where do I want to go? Let's go to network. Let's go to firewall overview. So we could do the same thing if we wanted to see this, if we wanted to delve into this a little bit more. But this is just showing you how quickly and easily you can visualize your data. And the power of Splunk. You can see that my mouse shows that this is clickable. This is clickable. I could go over here and click on this particular portion of this pie and drill down, and I will get the exact events. That one's actually taking me to another. Oh, that's taking me to another. Oh, they're the events. They're down there. So let me go over here. Let's go overview. So this is showing us some global security events. If you mouse over this, you can see what the events are. France had one at this longitude, latitude. China had two. India had one. Anyway, it's a powerful tool. This particular Cisco app is downloadable as well. Okay. I'm going to, so hopefully you played around with it a little bit while you were in there. If not, we'll be doing another lab, so no worries. Let's go back over to our presentation. So lab 1 we did. So data collection, know your data. So you obviously are going to know your data but better than anybody else, right? You know how your network is configured, you know what type of routers and switches you have, you know what kind of storage you have, what kind of servers, card readers, whatever it may be. So you know your data. You also probably know what your problems are, but you've got to think about them a little bit. These questions that we have here are to help you think about them a little more strategically so you can narrow down how you're going to use Splunk to solve these problems. So as it says, Splunk is licensed by volume of uncompressed data per day. That's in a 24-hour period, and you collect what is needed. So questions to ask, you know, what are you trying to solve? Do you have a security issue? Do you have a commerce system that sometimes runs slow? An e-commerce system, you know what's going on. You know, where is that information? Where are those log files? How are we going to get to those files? Do you have scripts that output data that is that's readable by Splunk? How is your data accessed? How long do you want that data to be searchable? You know, is 24 hours good, and then you move it off to kind of more, instead of being hot data, it's more warm data? Or you know, do you need to keep a week's worth of searchability, or you know, keep everything? Of course, you keep everything. I don't mean to say that you don't. Splunk, the data is immutable, meaning that Splunk does not change the data at all when it indexes it, and it keeps it forever. So it just moves it off into different buckets. Is there data that needs to have limited visibility? So do you want your CEO to see, you know, all those many crazy-looking events, or do you want to have a pretty picture for them to review? And you know, do they need to see all the nitty-gritty data behind it? And then what kind of archival strategy is needed for your data? So just some questions to think about. I mean, actually, those questions are great for almost any aspect of your data center if you stop and think about it. Where is your data? This is just a great list, kind of shows you what Splunk can ingest and deal with. Any kind of log file, custom applications, web servers, user click streams, social platforms. Splunk did a great social media event down in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest. If you go on Splunk's website, I know you can search and find probably the YouTube video for this, or probably just go to YouTube and find it. But what Splunk did is they ingested different social media feeds, and so they could figure out, okay, band A is playing at location A, and it turns out, you know, there's a lot of folks are checking in saying they're there. And then you can kind of see you know, where are all the popular people going, and where do you want to go? Because do you want to go see, or do you want to go to the crowded venue or the not so crowded venue? And Splunk set this up, and it was a demo that they ran during South by Southwest, and it's a great video. You should go out and find that. But that is just the power of all that can be done with machine data. You can see databases, web services. You know, the list goes on and on, but you know, think about where your data is and what data you want to ingest with Splunk, and you know what you're looking for. So types of inputs, files and directories. We kind of talked about that. Network inputs. You know, get all your security data put in. Scripted inputs. Windows inputs, and file system change monitoring. And over here on the side, we just kind of show you, this is when you're in Splunk, you go to data inputs, and this is where the magic starts. This is where you start with your first Splunk instance. I know when I first installed it on my laptop, went straight there and started, pulling in all different files just off my laptop, just kind of splunked my laptop. There's big ideas. Technically, you could Splunk a naval ship, right? Every system in a naval ship that puts out some kind of log file, you could Splunk the whole naval ship and, have a graph pop up with a little light, kind of how we saw on the Cisco Security Suite, and say, hey, we've got trouble in this spot. Drill down on it and say, oh, well, the boilers are overheating or whatever. So let's hope none of that happens. But anyway, well, we are at lab 2. Let me see. This is exploring the Splunk interface. Let me make sure what slide are we on? Okay. Yeah, I don't have to do anything in advance for you on this. So lab 2 is exploring the Splunk interface. You're going to find the data, run some basic keyword searches, and then there's a challenge question for those of you who have work a little faster. Let's go over here to the lab. Okay, lab 2. So this is going to be a 10-minute lab. We're going to use Splunk Search App to see what data is collected and execute keyword searches. Just walk yourself through this. Play with it as much as you like. We'll take 10 minutes, so it's 47 after the hour. So I'll start back at 3 minutes till. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat window or in the Q&A window, and either Taylor or I will help you through that. Hopefully everybody has found the server and has your logins. If not, just let us know. All right, get busy on that. about 2 more minutes and we'll start back. You'll be finishing up your lab. Okay, hopefully you all had time to finish that lab. You can see up on the screen that says Lab Review. What you were doing is just some simple keyword searches. I think it had you look for fail or error, and of course it wanted you to use the wildcard asterisk so that you could pick up all the versions of that: fail, failing, failed, and same for error. And then one thing you wanted to note that keyword searches, just the keyword itself is not case sensitive. You could do capital FAIL asterisk or lowercase FAIL. Boolean searches, anything that uses and or not, that is case sensitive. So I don't know that you got into Boolean searches in that lab, but just know that when that's part of the search language, that some things are case sensitive, some things are not. All right, we're going to do a couple more slides and then I'll do another demo for you. So some definitions. An event. We've talked about the event as a single piece of data in Splunk, similar to a record in a log file. The event is right here. That's all the information that is in a single event. It can be a few lines or it can be 167 lines. Just depends on the data source that you're reading. Each event is going to have the following fields: the timestamp, the host, the source type, and the index. These need to be human readable. So you're going to be reading in files that are text-based, and most log files, are going to have this basic data. Timestamp, that's pretty basic to a log file. Host, source type, and index. So those are the pieces. Let's go over here and look a little closer at the field. You can see this blue line is pointing to the selected field. These are name value pairs that Splunk has associated for that particular event data. And so these fields are going to give you, as it says, more precision in your searches. And we'll see that these are, you can click on them. This particular one, you see it says selected field host, and there's a little 5 by it. So if we were to click on that, if we were over in Splunk, you would see that there's 5 hosts. Then down below, you see interesting fields. These are some fields that particular name value pair showed up in more than 50% of the events. And so Splunk calls them interesting fields, and that makes it quicker for you to go and search your data. And let me point out, this is all core Splunk functionality, core Splunk functionality. This is not a additional app that you have to download and install. This is not a paid-for app. This is core Splunk, and a lot of power right here at your fingertips, just, practically right out of the box. As soon as you get your data types going, all this data is there for you. And we're going to see in a few minutes how easy it is just to visualize any of this. Definitions, well, a few more definitions. It's a source type. You saw in your lab had, I thought, a really good, let me just click over here on that. Here in the lab, hello, there it is. This shows the 3 pop-ups that I showed you earlier, but in the simplest terms, the host names are the source sending data to Splunk. Pretty obvious. Sources, the file names, the script name, or the port where the data is being listened and read in from. So that's the actual source. Source types are the input formats Splunk is ingesting. And I like this, so I'm going to read it to you. It says, an example is access combined. All Apache access logs will have the same source type regardless of the source or host. Hence why I talked about earlier, you may have 21 sources, because obviously you could have multiple Apache servers, right? But each one's going to have the same kind of access combined file, so you might have a fewer number of source types because they're repetitive. Okay. So Splunk has many source types that are pre-trained. That's a kind of a Splunk word, pre-trained. That they, there's a lot out there that's known. They're going to we know what the log file for an Apache server looks like. Log file is a log file is a log file. So Splunk is going to have some pre-trained source types that are going to be out of the box. Those field definitions have already been defined for you. You can, if you have something that Splunk has never seen before, maybe it's some kind of homegrown application, you can use the Splunk Common Information Model to define those fields, so then Splunk knows how to read it in and create key value pairs for, you define that using the CIM. Once you do that, then Splunk will know it every time you read any file, that same file in, you save it, and it's, Common Information Models used widely in other IT areas, so, Splunk, this is Splunk using kind of a standard, and then how you apply it to the log files. Down here at the bottom, as we've seen before, you can go to docs.splunk to this documentation, and you can get this list of pre-trained source types if you want to know, know that list. I actually had that up for you guys, but when I had to reboot, I lost all that, and I just didn't have time to redo it. So anyway, but you can go there and see the different source types that Splunk already knows for you out of the box. Okay, so we're going to do a demo. Here's our problem. Purchasing problem scenario. A call comes in about users not being able to make purchases. Not good. So this lab, well, I guess it'll be a lab after I do a demo. It's kind of multi-tiered implementation. So I'm going to step you through it. So let's go over to, let me share my version of Splunk that I have running. There we are. I'm going to hit this up here, the Splunk icon, and just kind of take myself to home. So this is core Splunk. Let's go to search and reporting. And let's enter in a search. So let's see how my typing is today. So source type equals, we're going to do our X. Let me put an equals. Hello equals access combined. The action that we're looking for is, good grief, is purchase. I always say you should not do live typing, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, 503, and the status we're going to look for is 503. Let's not do all time. That's a lot. Let's see what the last 4 hours give us. All right. So what we've done is we're looking at the access combined file, because somebody says the users cannot are having trouble purchasing. They can't enter any purchases. So we know this is coming into our system. So let's look at our web logs, right? So access combined, the action is purchased. That's what we're wondering about in status 503. Let's say if we did not know what status is. So let's click down here. We see status 503, 100%. Let's go to status description. See how Splunk already has this for you? Service unavailable. Okay. So let's go up here and look at our hosts that are having these status 503 errors. Well, let's look. Okay. So you can see that the errors are pretty much spread out evenly over all these servers, so that's probably not what's given us trouble, right? This is it's not a server-specific problem. So since we know that, let's go over here and let's change our source type. Let's change the source type to WebEx here _tr log. Did I spell that right? Let's hope so. Okay, so this is where we're starting. We're going to look, and we can kind of look down here in the events. And well, let's look up here. We have 18,000 events, so we need to narrow this down a little bit, right? So let's look for the keyword exception. Okay. Now we've narrowed it down a little bit more, 736. Okay. Well, let's take a look at some of these events. You can see here that Splunk has highlighted the word exception for you, so that you can see everywhere that this turns up in the different events. Okay. So this get policy exception, let's see about eliminating that, because that's probably not going to be our problem, some kind of policy issue. So we're going to do that Boolean, and we're going to say not get policy. Now let's see if that narrows us down a little bit more. Oh, look at that. Now we're down to 14 events. So we seem to be kind of zeroing in on the issue. So let's look down and let's look at this. This says the exception is received. The database manager is not able to accept new requests. Sounds like a very bad thing. Those of you who are database administrators, you never want to see that happen, right? So database manager. Okay, so this is getting us closer to the problem. Why is the database manager not accepting new requests? Why are people not able to buy our widgets off our website? Well, so now that we know it's a database issue, let's go over here. Let's change our source type to one of our database files, MySQL. Let's take a look at that. And so we just got the call here recently. So I've been doing the last 4 hours, but in the last 4 hours, people were able to make purchases, and then something happened. So let's just look in the last hour, because that's when the calls started coming in. Okay, so there's 6 events. Oh, lo and behold, look what we got. Disk is full. Disk is full. All right, so we call up our storage folks and have them scramble and allocate us some more storage. So now we see what the deal is, and we have done this. This has not been much typing, as you saw. It was just understanding our different file types and our source types, I should say, and using core Splunk to narrow down and find the problem. One of the greatest things you need to think about, not greatest things, let me word that better, one of the most effective means for zeroing in on a problem is to think about the time. You don't want to search all time. You don't want to search the last 30 days if something happened an hour ago. Splunk gives you this functionality to quickly go to the the events that are in question. So always remember that if something's not looking right, think about the time and see if maybe you need to adjust the time somehow, because that's going to be your quickest way. And then you can start worrying about hey, what else am I going to search for up here? Right now all I'm looking at is a simple source type. And because I did the right time, then I've narrowed it down to 6 events, and we see what the problem is. If I had left it at 4 hours, if I wasn't really thinking back to what my troubleshooting guys had told, the customer service people had told me that this just happened, I could waste a lot of time looking at events that were irrelevant. All right. So now let me go back to, let me stop sharing this, and I'm going to go back to my slide, and we are going to do a lab, but stop. If you've already started lab, I should have told you this in the beginning. I've got to do something to make this lab work for you. So what I'm going to do is, and you can, let me go back and share, because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. There's 2 ways I could have approached this. I could have approached this, kind of made it like a fun scenario, and oh no, something's happened to our system. But you all know that this system is a test system. You know that these are files that are running their data generators, generating this data. So I'm just going to show you what I'm about to do. I am going to go over here to, this is for your lab. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to settings. I'm going to go over to data input, and I'm going to go over here to scripts. I'm going to go to the second page of scripts, and before you do lab 3, I have to enable, let me see, FW block Apache Python script. I'm going to enable that script. So now, what this is doing is you have seen some historical data. I now, by enabling that script, I have caused a problem with the system, or it looks like a problem, right? And now Splunk is going to be ingesting data. And I haven't caused a problem in Splunk. I've caused a problem with a server, or at least it looks like I did. And so now you're going to get different data. And what you're going to do in the lab is you're going to be able to see how the use of visualization within Splunk is going to help you find these problems and pinpoint them. So let's see. So what I did with that is I changed a rule on a firewall. I made it look like a user did it, or not a user, but probably, like an admin. And so now support calls are coming in, and they're saying that users are having difficulty getting online for an expense reporting system, which is called Concur. We use it here at GTRI. So you're going to use Core Splunk just to determine what happened and what the root cause of this problem is. So I've kind of already told you, actually, in the end, it's going to be a firewall rule change, but you're going to use Splunk to find that, and we're going to do that in our lab, which is Lab 3, Core Splunk Investigations. And let me see, let's go over to the lab. Let's see, let me get over to it. So, Core Splunk Investigation. Oh, that's interesting. Let me look real quick. Normally, it tells me how long you guys have to do this lab, about how long it should take. This doesn't, so I need to probably note that as I need to add that to this. But let's take
It should
probably
take 10 to 15.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead. What time is it? It's 15 after the hour. We can go ahead and we'll take 10, 12 minutes. So it's 15 after the hour, so we will meet back at 25 after the hour. So if you have any questions, like you have done, put them in the Q&A, and we'll try to help you along the way. All right, the line will be silent otherwise. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Hopefully you got through most of that lab. And just so you know, we will leave this server up until, normally we leave it up until 10 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you need to go back and redo and finish up a lab, you will have time after the boot camp, or if you want to go back and do all the labs again, or if you just want to play around, it will be up until 10 p.m. tonight, Mountain Time. Okay, so we had some trouble. This is a little bit of the lab review. You were searching your events for Concur star. So you just entered that into the search bar. Well, let's see if I can get that. And it gave you some events down here, everywhere that Concur appeared in the event. It had you go over here and click on, I think it was status, right? And then there were two values of 200 and 404. Then it told you to click on top values by time. And just that easily, you got a visualization of your data. You should have seen a graph that looks similar to this. Then you can take that graph, you can save it as they call them a report. You can save it so that you can run it again later. You can take that, you can add it to a dashboard, make it a panel on a dashboard. You can turn it into an alert. So I think you did some of that in the lab, and we'll do some more here in a little bit. So then what it had you do is you were to check the remedy change ticket data. So you were analyzing those events, those Concur events, and you came in here and you probably saw that user Grumpy at demo.com is the culprit, and he changed the firewall setting. So then you charted the firewall connections denied over time, and that was the search you entered in there. And then you saw, we were down here, you saw we were go along fine. I, at this point, enabled that script that actually made the change. I kind of acted as grumpy, and not that I'm grumpy, I'm not normally grumpy. I'm probably either happy or sneezy, because I live in Dallas, as Taylor told y'all, and we have had just allergies. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, Grumpy changed it, and now you've got this going forward, and now it's showing you you're having trouble. So again, see the time space. Always keep that in mind, that you can narrow your searches by time. Okay, so that was kind of what you led you through discovering the discovery of a problem, kind of like we did earlier when we were looking for the and found out that our database was full, right? But you got to do that, so awesome. Let's move on. This section is automation. Let Splunk do the work. So what we've been doing, you and me together and you in lab, we've been doing rapid investigation. We have been using Core Splunk to do investigation. What you want to eventually get to is this proactive monitoring, right? You want to be, instead of being reactive to a problem in your data center, you want to be proactive. And so you can, instead of, oh, somebody calls in and says, hey, we have a problem, and then you go back to your Splunk instance and you search and say, well, sure enough, we do have a problem, and the database is full. Instead of that, you want to set up some of these searches to automatically run at a different time and do some proactive monitoring, so you don't, miss an hour's worth of commerce, or let's say, hours worth of students trying to get into a class scheduling system. You can be proactive. So saving searches. After you develop a search, the search that I showed you in the Cisco app that had the long search string, now who would ever want to write that over and over again, right? And who would remember it, man? After you wrote it the first time, I think my brain would save. So you can develop the search that you want, and then you want it to persist in the Splunk system as a knowledge object to be reused or referenced. So these can be as a report, as an alert, or as a dashboard panel. If you save something as a report, it's kind of a strange naming convention. I've gotten used to it, but basically it's a saved search, and then you can go and you can see all your saved searches and run them at click on them and run them at that point. That's a report. There's not a visualization associated with it. It's just a saved search. Dashboard panel. You've seen that this is you run the report and you have it visualized in some way, a pie chart or some kind of graph, and then you might want to save it as a dashboard panel. So then you go back and you go to dashboards and open up that panel, and then that kicks off that search and it runs and you see the results. Or alert, you might save it as an alert, and you could have this alert can run a script. We'll see this here in a minute. It could run a script, or it could email your, however you want to be alerted. So this just shows you, if you were to save it as a report, this kind of shows you what it looks like. You name your report. You can give it an optional description. You can put a time range in there. Then when you want to go back to it, run the last 4 hours or run the last 4 days, whatever you want, and then you save it. Then when you go back to run that report again, you're in the Splunk instance, and you go to the Search and Reporting app, the basic Splunk. You go to Reports, and then there it is. That's the report that you want to rerun. Okay. Alerting. Kind of like I just said, anything that can be searched can also be alerted upon. You can, trigger, so you can send an email. Any of these triggered alerts, you can have them do send an email or something custom, like it says right here. The scripting, you could do that, or interestingly, you could have it create an entry into a ticketing system. And then you find out immediately what Grumpy's doing as opposed to waiting an hour. So if we created an alert, it's kind of the same thing as when you create a report. You do save as alert, and then the flow is pretty much the same. You're going to give it a title, a description, what kind of alert type, real-time or scheduled, when you want it to run, what you want it to do. Then you can enable these different actions, like we've been talking about. Send us an email that something's going on. And then save it. Reports and alerts. So reports and alerts are really the same type of knowledge object. It's just reports are more filled out. So you can see this chart here shows you search strings. Reports, schedule reports, and alerts all have that. The schedule report has obviously the schedule and the alert, and then the alert is when you actually define the alert. So it's just varying degrees of kind of the same actual knowledge object. Then we want to take that and probably make a dashboard out of it. I mean, to me, that's the whole point of Splunk. I like looking at all the event logs and digging into it and clicking on this or that and seeing what's going on. But, most of the time, some kind of deliverable that you have to your manager or to the head of your department or your CIO, whoever it is, most likely the deliverable is going to be in the form of a dashboard. So you take that report, you run it, and then you can add it. You can do a save as dashboard panel, and then you kind of go through the same litany of different questions of, how this is going to appear in your dashboard. For simple dashboards, they can get awfully complicated. Editing dashboards. I showed you that when we looked in the Cisco app and we looked at that long string. I showed you how you can search that, and we saw that it ran for 60 minutes. If we wanted to change that. Yeah, we did this. We went to edit panels. So I did that in a demo for you. This is also showing how if you can, and I might just show this to you. use the paint to modify the labeling. So we might just look at this again here in a minute. We've looked at it a little bit, and you can play with it as well. Okay, wait, don't start doing lab 4 yet, because again, I believe I have got to run a script. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let y'all see that. Just kind of, it's always more fun to interact with the system. So for this lab, oh, I guess you've seen it. I'm already here. Hopefully you remember how I got there. I went to settings, data inputs, and then I clicked on the bottom one and it was scripts. Gave me this list of scripts, and this is page 2 of it. So now this proxy _net _load Python script, I'm going to enable that script and cause more problems in the system so that you get to have a fun lab. What fun would the labs be if you weren't actually seeing something, right? Okay, so I have done that. Let me stop sharing and let's go over lab 4. Users have reported that internet applications have suddenly gotten sluggish. The likely cause is network bandwidth. So we'll look at the proxy logs to determine how bandwidth is being used. And if you were paying attention, you saw Python script I ran was blah 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 proxy, right? So you're gonna follow the lab, then you're gonna add that result to your dashboard, and then you're gonna add searches from the previous 2 labs to that dashboard. So you're creating, doing some investigation and doing some simple dashboarding, which is always, I think, the most fun part. Okay, so let's click on our lab document. We'll get over here to lab 4, Splunk investigation and simple dashboards. So this one says it takes, it doesn't say, so we'll do 10-15 minutes again. What time is it? It's 37 after the hour. Let's just do 10 minutes because we still have a little bit to go over after your lab. So let's take 10 minutes. It's 37 after the hour. Let's come back at 47 after the hour. We'll have a few more slides, and then we'll have some wrap up. All right, so let me be quiet and let y'all get busy. All right. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, so let's get started back. And I noticed a great question that Taylor answered in the Q&A. It said, can the dashboards be customized based on target audience or groups? And Taylor answered, sure can. You can define individual rights by dashboard per individual user or user type, admin, power user, etc. I probably should have mentioned in the beginning, I am logged into our Splunk instance as admin. And you all are logged in as power users. We defined that ahead of time. We didn't want to, let you guys destroy our server. So of course we didn't make you admin, but you are power users, and that's why you're able to do as much functionality in the Splunk instance that you can. And as Taylor points out, you can have your CEO, log in as a user, or maybe you just email them a link or whatever. So anyway, great question and great answer. Thank you, Taylor. All right, let's get over here. So what you did is you created 2 panels. You did 2 searches, you created dashboard panels, and you rearranged your dashboard, and got something that's probably looking pretty good. And I'm going to go over here. So let's. So we don't really kind of do a debrief, but at this point, but I'll do. And here in a few minutes, I'm going to disable those scripts that are running, so that the server goes back to normal, and then you're going to be able to use your dashboards to see that change. So that'll be interesting. So let's get to that here in just a minute. But before we do, here we are at Splunk apps, the definition of an app. We've talked a lot about apps, and if you're new to Splunk, you may be thinking kind of a Apple app that you would get in the iTunes store. That's really not what Splunk apps are. They are, let's see, well, what does Splunk say? It says apps are self-service, out-of-the-box extensions for Splunk. They serve as workspaces for tailored configuration, or display. So they're a bunch of configuration files, and their goal is to get data into Splunk, and then to get data out of Splunk. And the app kind of does that for you. Say you have anything you're thinking about doing, just to figure maybe somebody else has thought about it, so you'll want to go to the App Store on Splunk and do a search, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. But you could come, and if it turns out that somebody has already done it, great. Download that app, take a look at the configuration files, see if it's going to work for you, tweak them if you need to, and then use that app instead of recreating your own. The app, as it says, the user interface is selected from the app list drop-down. The knowledge objects that are included are reports, alerts, custom design views, and dashboards. That's all what we've been looking at. But people have defined some great reports or alerts and saved them and created what they call an app. Apps are available at apps.splunk.com, and they're free with the exception of 4 of them: the Enterprise Security app, the VMware app, the PCI app, and the Exchange app. And those are for-cost apps. And they're great apps, by the way. And if you're interested in security, and now that you have a little background in Splunk, you might want to attend our security boot camp that'll happen 2 weeks from today. And that will show that particular app. You'll go through that app and see a demo and get to play with that app. Okay. Repository, as we just said, apps.splunk.com. That's where you go to find some apps. Let's see. Apps can change how data is collected and how it's displayed. So that's just more succinctly put what I've been trying to explain here. Okay. The Cisco Security app, I showed you that earlier. Cisco developed that app and put it out to the community because Cisco wants you to be able to Splunk your Cisco-based network and see what's going on. It's a great thing for Cisco to do that. Cisco is one of the largest users of Splunk. It's very interesting. I've sat through a Cisco presentation and how they do security, because it turns out I think Cisco is one of the #1 hackers try to hack into the Cisco network all the time. I guess, that'd be a pretty big feather in your cap if you were able to do it. And so Cisco uses Splunk extensively to monitor their network. And they put out that app to the community because, the better that your Cisco network works, the more likely you are to buy more Cisco, right? So anyway, that is a very good app, and it's free. And other companies do that, right? So go in there and if you have a different brand of whatever, go in there and do a search and see if that is in the list. Okay, application management app, custom app development by Splunk for demo purposes. So this, we'll probably look at this here in a minute if I might bring it back up, although we're getting close on time. So I might not do this demo because I don't want to run out of time on you guys, because I want to make sure that we put our server back right so that you can see how your app or your operational efficiency dashboard changes. So let's see. Let's go over here. Okay, that would be a recap if I did do that demo, but let me share my my instance as I've been doing. I don't know if you happen to notice, we are running Splunk.6.1. Let's go to, let's go over here to settings. Let's go to data input. Let's go to scripts. Let's go to page 2 of the scripts. And you watched me enable these last 2 scripts. Now let's go ahead and disable them and disable. And that should be setting our server back right, our data input, I should say, not necessarily our server. Okay, let's go over here to, I always like going to the home just so y'all can see where we are. We're going to go, this search and reporting app, we'll just go straight to dashboards. We'll click down here instead of going the long, we could have gone the long way, right? We could see this drop down menu, it would have gotten to the same place. So I did the lab yesterday so that I would have this for you. So here's my operational efficiency dashboard. And so you can see, let's see, part of it's fallen off. I was looking at it a minute ago. So actually, this is on Mountain Time. At 12:35 is when I enabled the script. And this graph right here, it went up. That's when we started having those problems. So just now at 12:55, you can see when I disabled it, now this is going down. And over here you can see this yellow line. The other script that I enabled was about at 12:10 Mountain, so you can see how it went up. And then now when I disabled it, you can see the graph is showing us the downward trend. And this is just to show you that this is real. This is real. This isn't these aren't static. This is real time, and this is something that you did yourself. If you could open up your operational efficiency dashboard, and you could see the same thing. So it's just a very, very powerful tool. Let me go back over here. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. We'll go back over here to the presentation because you'll see that we returned to normal. Observe the changes on your dashboard so you can see the page not found arrows, how they dropped off when I disabled that script, and the network usage. You can see how that disappeared as well. So hopefully you remember what it looked like when the time period that showed you how those values went up. So now we've returned everything, conditions are corrected, activity returns to normal. All right. Well, in summary, today I really appreciate everyone that has been on the line with me and gone through this journey of Splunk today. You know the topics we covered. We did the overview, the architecture, a little bit about data collection, Splunk for discovery, letting Splunk do the work. That was talking about creating the reports and alerts. And then we talked a little bit about Splunk apps. You were able to see that core Splunk actually is very powerful. Even without any apps downloaded, we were able to deduce problems, figure out what was going on, run some searches, do some visualizations, and just basic core Splunk is very powerful. Like I told you, GTRI is a Splunk certified platinum premium partner. We can give you quotes. We can do a demo like this. WebEx, if you wanted to do a demo for some users in wherever you are, we can do WebEx demos. If we got further down the road, we actually do POCs or proof of concepts if you were interested in Splunk. As I mentioned, we do teach classes. You can do Splunk certified classes, and we have some other operational type classes that are available. And we are your one-stop shop for your data center. If you are interested in any of the hardware or the products that go into the data center, the Cisco, the NetApp, the VMware, Citrix. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for attending today. Thank you to Taylor for being my wingman and doing a great job there. If you have any questions after this, please give me a shout on email. I'm ksutherland@gtri.com, and Taylor, same way, twilliams@gtri.com. You will be when you shut this down, you'll be able to give some feedback, so we'd love any kind of feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. If you have follow-up questions or if you want us to follow up with you, we can certainly do that as well. As I said, we are going to leave the server up till 10 p.m. tonight on Mountain Time, so you're welcome to stay on the server, play, see what else you can do, go back maybe and do some of the challenge questions in the lab if you didn't have a chance to do that, and just familiarize yourself with Splunk. As Taylor mentioned in the beginning, I used to work for SGI, and if any of you are old-timers like I am, you remember SGI back in its big heyday in the 90s, people just flocked to SGI. They loved the technology. There was kind of almost a little cult following of SGI, and I'm part of user groups still that are ex-SGIers where we talk about the, this or that. And Splunk is that way. It has a very vibrant community and of just passionate users, people that just love Splunk and get a lot out of Splunk and would love to help you get a lot out of it. I will mention that this first full week of October, I guess that's that October 6th, I guess, starts, Splunk has .conf 2014. So that is a user conference, and it's in Vegas this year. And if you're interested in going to that, you could register and go to .conf and meet this vibrant community that is part of Splunk. So thank you very much. I am Kathy Sutherland with GTRI, and I'll officially say goodbye. Taylor, do you have anything that we need to do before we sign off here?
I don't believe so. You absolutely covered absolutely everything. I was just going to reiterate and remember the server stays up, so if you didn't get through the labs, just go ahead and keep working on them. We're going to keep it up for about 9 more hours here, so you should have plenty of time to get that done. But like Kathy said, GTRI is the one-stop shop for Splunk. Don't hesitate to ask if you guys have any questions. You have both my email and her email in the presentation. So again, don't hesitate, and thank you guys, everyone, for joining today. Hope you got something out of it.
Thank you.